Look, a stray. You take him, Mitch.
No, it's the first one. You get it, man.
No, it's the first one. Well, let's still have him.
No, I'll get the next one. Look, you get this one, I'll get the next one. You sure? I mean, there's gonna be plenty.
No, yeah, you get this one, I'll get the next one, then Ed, you will go...
Like a round robin kind of thing. That's good, yeah.
Billy Crystal and friends try to conquer their midlife crisis by leading a cattle drive out west in City Slickers. That's one of the new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with a special report on the making of the amazing fire sequences in Backdraft. How did they do it? I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is City Slickers, which comes advertised as a comedy about a bunch of white-collar workers who find themselves in way over their heads on a dude ranch out west. The movie is that comedy, but it's a lot more, too. A comedy with a certain amount of heart and human insight. The movie opens with its three heroes entering a period of midlife crisis. Billy Crystal, for example, plays a man who sells advertising time on a radio station, but when he talks to his son's class on career day, he discovers a great lack of meaning in his own career.
When you're a teenager, you think you can do anything, and you do. Your 20s are a blur. 30s, you raise your family, you make a little money, and you think to yourself, what happened to my 20s? 40s, you grow a little pot belly, you grow another chin. The music starts to get too loud. One of your old girlfriends from high school becomes a grandmother.
Crystal's wife, played by Patricia Weddick from 30-something, loves him enough to urge him to take a vacation, get away from it all on a dude ranch with his friends.
Go and find your smile.
What if I can't?
Once they're on the trail, moving a herd of cattle to Colorado, Crystal finds he's intimidated by the crusty old trail boss, played by Jack Palance.
This man owes you an apology.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by it.
Not you. Him.
Him? Yeah, of course.
No.
God, I'm sorry, man. That'll never happen again.
Yeah, see that it doesn't.
Palance is great in this movie. Meanwhile, what do City Slickers talk about when they're on the trail?
Okay, if you want to watch one show, but record another show at the same time, the television set does not have to be on channel 3.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Does.
No, if you're watch a recording, then it has to be on 3.
With the TV or the machine?
The TV.
You're saying I can record something I'm not even watching?
Yes, that's the point. You don't even need a TV to record.
How would I see it?
Well, to see it, you need a TV. But
Shut up. Just shut up. He doesn't get it. He'll never get it. It's been 4 hours. The cows can tape something by now. Forget about it, please.
City Slickers was written by Lowell Gans and Babalu Mandel, who also wrote Parenthood. And what the two movies have in common is a great skill of combining comedy with moments of quiet truth about the problems of being a son, a father, and a husband. There were some really big laughs in City Slicker, but at the same time, there were some gentle, intelligent, unforced moments of insight, and there were times in this movie when I was surprised how much I cared about these guys. The plot could have easily turned into a sitcom, but instead, this is one of the summer's best films.
It's very well written. I think you put your finger on why it's special. Because it does have some heart in there and some moments where these guys are not all nice guys, where they've got some real problems with women. My only regret in the picture is as long as the issue of women is presented in the picture, I wish there had been a woman representative who was as interesting as any of the guys. Instead, they have a throwaway woman tagging along on the dude ranch trip, and also the wife, played by Patricia Weddick, is a complete harpy, you know.
Helen Slater, who goes along on the trip with them as one of the dudes, is thrown in simply so that they can have a payoff at the end of the film, and she's not given any lines.
Nothing.
And she probably has some insights. She could probably give them some advice on women.
That's what a natural scene would be. Say, look, you got to know. Give us the answers. Give us.
But this movie, in terms of its male bonding and in the vulnerability of these guys,
very good,
very nice.
Okay, next film, and our next picture is a truly awful comedy, one that leaves us in the audience with our mouth open. Where are the jokes? It's called Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which is what happens when a group of older kids are left behind by their mother as she goes on an extended vacation, and upon the first meeting, their babysitter seems like a kindly old lady, but she's not.
All right, you little maggots, now line up. Time to go over the rules.
Well, as the title says, the babysitter soon dies, the kids quickly run out of spending money, and it's up to the oldest daughter, Christina Applegate, from Married with Children, to bring home some bread. So she fakes a job application for a fashion industry job.
You'll be my assistant, and I'll just tell him I hired outside the company.
Well, what about the receptionist job?
What, are you burnt out? You want to take a step down?
She gets the job, but she needs money quickly, so she steals some from petty cash to make ends meet. But her younger brother, get this now, how about this for high drama? He uses the money to buy an expensive home entertainment center. What a shocker.
It wasn't your money, it was my money.
Oh, well, now it wasn't really your money either. You embezzled it.
Yes, that's where the money went, and that's right. Someone who worked on this picture, probably writers Neil Landau and Tara Eisen, actually thought that we would be entertained because the kids used the money to buy a new TV. And that kind of writing is really at the level of a bad TV sitcom. That's what City Slickers could have been in these kinds of hands. This film turns into a simple-minded version of Working Girl with Christina Applegate fooling her bosses and becoming a success at work. It's just so much pablum.
Well, I didn't like the movie either, Gene, but I'm not sure that you really put your finger on exactly what it is. It's not a bad comedy. What it is a pretty good wish fulfillment fantasy for teenage girls, in which their idol, Christina Applegate, is allowed to wear a different designer outfit every day, to smoke real cigarettes, to go out with the boss's boyfriend, to play at being an office worker when she's only 17. And this kind of escapism would probably be a very powerful fantasy particularly for adolescent girls in that age rank and a little bit younger. And the movie is pretty good at doing that, while at the same time completely failed in entertaining me in any way whatsoever. But I think it does exist on that other level.
Well, but that's a kind of a TV show level. I don't know if does it seem like it's a movie?
Well, it doesn't make it a good movie, no, but I think it is effective at doing what it sets out to do.
We'll see if you're right.
Okay.
Later in the show, I'll talk about Backdraft, and its director, Ron Howard, explains some of the problems of filming the fire sequences in that movie. Coming up next, Spike Lee's new film about interracial romance, Jungle Fever.
She's white.
White! Man, you crazy!
She's Italian.
H-bomb.
You know, Angie, I've never cheated on my wife before.
That is the setup scene from Jungle Fever, as an African-American architect and an Italian-American office worker find themselves in lust with each other. And the message by Spike Lee, who made this film, is that both blacks and whites in America have been bombarded with sexual myths and stereotypes about each other to the degree that some interracial romances are inspired by what he calls jungle fever. His new film is brilliant in many ways, but his analysis of this love affair is not one of them. The actual relationship between Wesley Snipes and Annabella Sciorra, who play the couple, is seen only murkily. What Lee does see with great clarity is the way the affair is received in each character's home environment.
I'm seeing somebody.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You two-timer? Who are you seeing? Oh.
Somebody from work.
Who is he, like blonde, blue-eyed surfer type?
Hey, dude!
Right? What is that?
He's black.
If your father ever found out, I don't know.
Yeah, well, he's not gonna.
No, of course not. Hey, look, this is the 90s. There's nothing wrong with it, you know? You having a good time?
Well, I guess I just wasn't light enough for you, was I, Flipper? You had to eventually go get yourself a white girl, didn't you?
Snipes is married, and his wife, played by Lynette McKee, lacerates him with the outspoken frankness that's typical of a Spike Lee film.
I've told you what happened to me when I was growing up. I've explained to you. I poured my heart out. I've told you how they call me high yellow, yellow bitch, white honky, honky white, white nigga, nigga white, octoroon, quadroon, half-breed, mongrel. And what do? Do you love this girl?
Oh, Drew, you gotta be kidding me.
Plain talk about race with an honesty unusual in most films is Lee's strong point, and the best scene in Jungle Fever shows Snipes' wife talking about black men with her girlfriends.
It ain't no good black men out there.
Yes, they are, Nilda.
Most of them are drug addicts, in jail, homos. The good ones know they just so they got 10 women at a time, leaving babies all over the place.
We're looking in the wrong places.
We're looking someplace, I don't know where we're looking, but we're not looking at bus drivers or truck drivers or garbage men, and a lot of them are doing that. And we just won't give them the time of day. But they're good men.
There's a lot of self-hate going on when he can't deal with his sister.
Yeah, but Inez, how would you know? You won't deal with a black man. How would you know?
Oh, no. I do date black men, but I also date Chinese, Latino, Jewish, the full spectrum.
Jungle Fever is a film with scenes of uncommon power, others of brilliance, and some scenes that just don't work. Lee, as always, shows the ability to deal even-handedly with his characters of various races, and indeed, one of the most positive characters in this film is a white, played by John Turturro, as a luncheonette operator. Scene after scene in this movie sees the truth beneath the myths and stereotypes and speaks it plainly. My only disappointment is that Lee seems to see the interracial romance itself mostly from the outside. He doesn't paint those two characters, so we feel that we really know and understand how they feel about one another. That's murky, but the movie as a whole, taken as a whole, is one of the great movies in a long time.
Well, I have a similar reaction to it, which is I thought that the two characters actually liked each other for, I thought, very specific reasons. Yeah. I thought that the architect was frankly just tired. Tired, certainly at work. We've seen that. He's had a tough time being the one black executive in this architectural firm. He's fed up. Life at home, well, everybody's life at home is rough. So he's down. So he's susceptible to trying to just get some momentary surcease from all the pain. She, I think, likes the guy. Yeah. He's a nice guy. So why shouldn't? So that part, I think, isn't what he's been selling as a sort of salacious.
Spike has been going around giving interviews about how these people are attracted to each other because of black-white stereotypes, and it's not there in the movie.
I don't think it's on the screen. However, it is all, as you said, it is all of the other stories, and I want to talk about this John Turturro character. Now, he played the racist son in Do the Right Thing. Here it's just the flip side. He's the Italian-American who embraces other people. In fact, he has sort of a crush on a young black executive woman who shops at his candy store. And there's a shot, the same thing was true in Do the Right Thing, where he just takes a camera shot outside a window looking at this guy who's all alone. All of his friends are racists. And it's just so right. He's so knowledgeable about another group of people other than blacks.
That is a great moment. And throughout the movie, what he does in showing the neighborhoods, the communities that these two characters come from is very good. For example, the character played by Samuel Jackson, Wesley Snipes' brother, who is a crack addict. Totally destructive and totally destroyed. And the way that he creates havoc within his family is... You know, Spike has been criticized earlier for not dealing with the drug issue in some of his movies. In this movie, he deals with it all right.
The summer is full of fluffy pictures. Here's one of substance. Coming up next, a most unusual drama about a young woman with a head full of red hair and a mind full of beautiful poems and prose.
What do you mean you've published a book?
Well done, Janet. That's excellent.
Yes.
The name Jane Campion isn't well known to American audiences, but it should be. She's an Australian director of great skill who came to fame with her first feature, Sweetie, about a mentally disturbed girl. That film earned a lot of rave reviews. I thought it looked better than the story played, but her new picture, An Angel at My Table, is even better, and I think it's one of the year's best. A remarkable true story of the life of a shy girl who grows up to be a celebrated author. And when we first meet the girl, named Janet Frame, she's an awkward youngster in New Zealand, drawing attention because of her quiet ways and because of her mass of curly red hair.
You know, you should do something about your hair. You get it straightened. Or clip it to make it stay flat.
Janet is still quite shy as she grows up, becoming a teacher, but afraid of being on her own as an adult.
Oh, there you are. Are you coming to morning tea? Oh, no, I'm a bit busy. Oh, we never see you. Maybe tomorrow.
Janet does have a skill that sustains her despite her fears. She can write, and she is tested in a bout with mental illness that results in her having years and years of electroshock treatments at a New Zealand hospital. She writes so well, her poems and her prose, that much to the surprise of people she meets at a party in London, she is actually published.
So, what do you write, John? Poetry and fiction, and short stories, and I've written a novel.
Have you had anything published?
Yes.
For which magazine?
Oh, no. The short stories are in a book.
A book?
The novel's been published.
What do you mean you've published a book?
Well done, Janet.
That's excellent.
Yes.
An Angel at My Table reminded me a lot of My Left Foot, that inspirational story of a disabled painter, except that I think Angel at My Table is more subtle, less obviously heroic, and director Campion has a remarkable eye for nature-filled images showing Janet to be dwarfed by the landscape around her, making her battle seem both majestic and yet common. This is an uncommonly good film, as Jane Campion, I think, reveals herself to be a major director.
It's the kind of film that isn't often made. It's
Boy,
three
it sure is.
parts, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, as a woman grows up as a poetic spirit who is an outsider in the community where she is born, who goes through this horrible bout of what turns out to be misdiagnosed mental illness, and then becomes this shy, reclusive, but nevertheless expressive writer. And what happened to me as I was watching the film very rarely happens in a theater. All of my thoughts, critical thoughts, dropped away, and I was just watching to see what would happen to this woman next. The story of her life just became so interesting to me that the film just took off with a power of its own, and at the end of the film, I felt as if I had really spent some time with her and gotten to know her.
The concept that a film can actually recreate a life in about 2 hours doesn't happen very often, and when it does, and I'm thinking of Raging Bull, which did it, this picture does it from a little girl to an adult. It's quite remarkable.
Not to be missed. When we come back, Ron Howard's movie Backdraft got mixed reviews, but everyone agreed that the fire scenes looked terrific. Gene talks with Howard about how hard it is to photograph fire.
Sometimes a movie is so special technically that it's worth seeing even if its story is kind of corny. Such a movie is Backdraft.
Jesus!
Most every critic agrees, and audiences too. The fire sequences in Ron Howard's Backdraft are spectacular, unlike anything ever put on film. Even movie-making insiders see the film and wonder, how'd he do it? Howard sat down with me recently and explained some of the behind-the-scenes magic. Now, this is a great shot here. Is this in a studio?
No, this was done at that location. We didn't shoot any of this sequence at the studio. This was all done in that building.
Now, obviously, the camera has tremendous support here. I mean, you're overhanging.
Well, most of this is handheld.
Really?
Yeah, most of this is handheld with the guy just tied. It's really difficult because it's so hot. Because you got all that fire burning underneath, and there's nothing you can do about it. Fire, heat rises.
Is that a rubber door?
It's not rubber. It's some kind of fiberglass. And doors do breathe like that. I'm not sure you'd ever see anything quite that extreme, but it's something that the firefighters talk about.
Now there is a cannon that shoots. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, that's a mortar blast, representing a flash, which often happens.
Now he's going to catch it in the face here. How do you control how close it comes?
Well, it was an inexact thing.
That's Baldwin.
That was Bill Baldwin himself doing that stunt.
By having your camera low, it makes it look closer than it really is.
No, it was really that close.
Oh, it is?
It really is that close.
To photograph fire well, cameraman Michael Solomon found out he had to shine a lot of light on the fire. Otherwise, the fire would obliterate objects in the background. He learned that, Ron Howard explained, from filming Steven Spielberg's fire-filled movie, Always.
Actually, Spielberg was ribbing me a little bit about this because he'd seen our trailers, and he said, how'd you get all that orange? We were trying to get all that orange on Always. But one of the things that the same cinematographer, Michael Solomon, had learned is that you have to pour a lot of light onto the fire and the surrounding area. Otherwise, everything else goes black, and all you see is the fire, and it overexposes.
One of the problems with other movie fires, such as in the towering Inferno, problems that Ron Howard was determined to solve, is too little smoke and no burning bits flying around, like in real fires. What's floating around that we see there?
We call that the ash-o-matic.
Is this debris that you made, or is it made by the fire?
For the most part, it's debris that we've made. We also had special effects guys. One guy, his name is Rio, special effects man, and we call him Rio de Brio, because he would get out over the rafters and put on a fire suit, and he'd have a bucket of balsa wood. He'd light it and just be throwing in pieces, trying to make it land between the camera and the actors. Sometimes he'd hit the actors, and they'd say, Rio, come on, get with it.
The only complaint I've heard about the fire sequences, one fireman told me, not enough dark smoke, but more smoke than other pictures.
When we come back, we'll take another look at the movies we reviewed this week. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this show. Two enthusiastic thumbs up for City Slickers as three yuppies look for the meaning of life on a cattle drive. Two thumbs down, though, for Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, although I did think it worked as a teenage girl's wish fulfillment fantasy. Two thumbs up for Spike Lee's Jungle Fever, a movie bursting with intelligence, passion, and memorable characters. And two more thumbs up for Jane Campion's An Angel at My Table, the fascinating true story of New Zealand writer Janet Frame. Gene thought it was one of the year's best films. So we had some pretty good films this week.
Absolutely.
And Jungle Fever, I think, is one to really look out for.
Well, I'll tell you, Angel at My Table, of the three pictures that we like, City Slickers and Jungle Fever, those two are obviously getting all the publicity, and Angel at My Table is the one not to miss.
People are going to have to look for it. That's it for this week. Next time we'll be back with reviews of more new summer movies, including Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner in his first film since the Oscar-winning Dances with Wolves. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Louisiane is specially blended for iced tea. That's why people who like iced tea love Louisiane. Available in regular or decaf. Enjoy a wild, wonderful swing and sing and adventure with the Walt Disney classic, The Jungle Book. Now on sale at a video store near you. Shower Tech, the patented fog-free shower mirror that lets you shave in the shower where steam and humidity soften your beard. You'll get a quick, close, and comfortable shave with Shower Tech, a great gift for Father's Day. New 5-day wide solid antiperspirant. After just 5 days, you'll love it, or your money back. 5-day, our name is your guarantee.